I went to Fanboy Expo yesterday and I got this Kiss comic signed by Gene Simmons. Now, this is the famous Kiss comic book that contains the blood of all four members poured into the red ink. My father printed this comic and I got it signed by Ace Frehley, Peter Criss, and now Gene Simmons. It's taken me 13 years to get this far. I still need Paul Stanley. And yes, you heard me right. My dad printed this comic. Back when this came out in 1977, when I was 3 years old, Marvel printed their comics at Arcata Graphics in Buffalo, New York, and that's where my dad ran the five-color press. And as you can see here, they had their blood drawn, which is something I could do now. And you can see them pouring their blood into the red ink to be printed in this comic online. It's also in a documentary. There's footage of it. I got to tell Gene that my dad printed this, and he remembered where it was printed. And then we fist bumped. Yeah! Now, when that comic came out, they were touring for the Love Gun album. This was their newest album, and of course the comic would be promotion for this album as well. And I've got this album signed by Ace, Peter, and now Gene, but I also got it signed by cover painter Ken Kelly. This is Frank Frazetta's nephew. Here's a pic of Gene I snapped from line while I was waiting. Hey, I was standing there for 2 hours. Everyone was taking pictures. I already spent $500 on the 2 autographs. Didn't want to spend another $250 just for a photo. Now check this out. This is me and Billy Redden. He played the banjo boy in the movie Deliverance. You know, the Burt Reynolds film. Burt Reynolds was my acting teacher. And here, look, he signed the album to me, the Dueling Banjos, which is what he played in the film. And did I tell this story? No, you know what? This is an old story from my blog, predating YouTube, so I'll tell it here. One time when I was 17, I was over at my dad's house, and I was fiddling around on a guitar. I don't know how to play, but I was trying to learn. My dad does play guitar. So he showed me how to play dueling banjos, and we went back and forth. And it was a pretty neat experience there, bonding with someone through music. I told that story on my blog years ago, and within days I was over at my brother's house, and he had bought a guitar and was teaching himself how to play. He would pull it out and strum every time we came over for the next year, maybe 2, but that was it. That was about a dozen years ago. I always thought at the time that he was trying to find a way to, if the opportunity presented itself, bond with our dad through music. That could just be my imagination twisting everything to be about me or influenced by me, but regardless, the opportunity never came up. It still could. Now here is me with puppeteer Dave Barkley. He was the lead puppeteer of Jabba the Hutt. He sat inside the costume, operated the mouth through all the dialogue, and the right arm. There was another puppeteer that operated the left arm and the tongue, and there was a little person in the tail that wiggled the tail, and then there were some puppeteers outside that controlled the eye movements and stuff like that. And there was an air bladder that was controlled as well for breathing. But Dave Barkley also puppeteered Yoda while he was on Luke Skywalker's back in the Dagobah scenes of Empire Strikes Back, and assisted Frank Oz in the other puppeteering aspects of Yoda. He also worked on the Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, and many other things. And as you can see, I got his autograph. But I also got this book that he wrote, My Life with Animatronics, Movies, Puppets, and Beyond. So awesome. For Kevin, puppets rule. You got that right. You know I love puppetry. I just posted recently a short clip of one of my puppet shows from years ago. And my painting of Jim Henson puppeteering Kermit is hanging in Holly Frazetta, Frank Frazetta's daughter's house. Oh, let's quickly look at the color pictures in here. Cool. Yoda. There's Dave Barkley. He was 22 years old when he was working on The Empire Strikes Back. Oh man, I need to make one of these. Hey, look, it's the photo I got signed. So he was on both films, Empire and Jedi, but if you look at the shirt, it says Revenge of the Jedi. Isn't that awesome? Oh, look, he's on Fraggle Rock. Oh, man, from Labyrinth. Oh, I want that marionette. Yeah, Dark Crystal. Oh, wow, he built and performed Audrey from Little Shop of Horrors. Ooh, the Rock Biter from Neverending Story 3. Speaking of Neverending Story, look at this 3D printed luck dragon I picked up from one of the vendors. You can put it in any pose, the arms move, or I mean legs. You can open and close the jaw. This is the coolest thing of all time. Wow, he was even in Team America and Where the Wild Things Are. Golly. And here's a photo of me with Michael Biehn. He was John Connor in The Terminator. Come with me if you want to live. He was also in Aliens, and he played Johnny Ringo in Tombstone. And if you look back, he was actually in Grease 2 with Michelle Pfeiffer. Now, I also picked up these little comic statues, Wolverine and Iron Man, because check it out. Don't they go nice on my cosplay shelf where I played Logan and Tony Stark? See the 3D printed statues of me there in the center? Pretty cool shelf, huh? But I went and picked up these comics. This is a vendor named Greg White, and apparently he's at every convention I go to, which is good because I want to see him again. He had a ton of stuff that I wanted. He had the first issue of every single superhero ever. First appearance, I should say. He had like millions of dollars of comics right in front of me, and none of them were slabbed. He had them just the way I like them, just in bags and boards. I, of course, didn't get anything too crazy, but I did get my own stack where he flipped through and he goes, wow, what an eclectic selection. So refreshing. You never see that. So I always wanted a Plastic Man comic from back when he was from his original publisher, Quality Comics, before he was acquired by DC. This is issue 59 from 1956. And look, you can see art by Plastic Man's original creator, Jack Cole. And I've shown before my collection of Rawhide Kid comics from Marvel, which were drawn by Stan Lee's brother, Larry Lieber. Well, in one of those, I mentioned that it was a continuation of the original Atlas Comics run, the precursor to Marvel. And I always wanted one of those. Here we go. Rawhide Kid, issue 13 from 1957, an Atlas comic. And I always wanted an Atlas comic with art by Joe Maneely, the man Stan Lee would have put in Jack Kirby's role. And speaking of Rawhide Kid, this is Rawhide from the television show. These are the Dell comics. There were only 2 of these made. I already got the other one a few months back at an opening of a comic store. This is the previous one, the one that came out before it. So now I have them both. This is from 1961. Clint Eastwood. Why does it look weird here? Well, the top of the cover was torn off, so they made a Xerox of it and put it inside. That's how I get my comics cheap. And here we have Fantastic Four, issue 101 from 1970. I got this because this is when Jack Kirby, after launching the modern Marvel Universe with Stan Lee with Fantastic Four issue 1, now had their falling out and he left to go to DC and create for them characters like Darkseid and stuff like that. So he had this 101 issue run. Now, the interior of issue 102 is also his art. The cover is done by John Romita, who then took over from Jack Kirby, and they had issue 102 there as well, but I seem to remember something about, like, maybe it was a leftover story or unfinished or something, and that's why he didn't do the cover or whatever. But this is the final, full, complete issue by Jack Kirby before he put in his resignation. And then, because I just did a video about the art of George Wilson, I had to get a George Wilson painted gold key comic, so check it out. Dr. Solar, Man of the Atom. This is issue 17 from 1966. And man, that looks cool. They had a bunch of the ones I featured in the book, so I had them all in my hand, and then I saw this and I said, nope, let me get one I haven't seen and is better than the rest. Voila. Now, in a completely different vein from Gold Key Comics, I have the Harlem Globetrotters, a funnin' and a feudin' with Hold That Hillbilly. This is issue 2 from 1972. Sweet Georgia Brown. And then from Charlton Comics, Sid and Marty Krofft bring you all new stories and art of the Bugaloos. Issue 3 from 1972. You know, at one time, I was Facebook friends with Joy from the Bugaloos, and I drew a picture of her and sent it to her, and she thanked me. That was a 5-year-old Kevin's dream come true. And lastly, we have The Further Adventures of Indiana Jones, issue 1 from 1983. When this comic came out, there was only one movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark. So this John Byrne drawn adventure predates the Temple of Doom. Can't wait to read it. I know I'm going to want every issue. Until next time.